if there is anything that gets Israelis riled up, it is real estate. The cost of buying a home in Israel has risen by an average of 9.2% in the past 12 months alone. You heard that right. Israelis who are looking to buy an apartment nowadays have to come up with roughly $261,000 in personal equity. Well, Israel has just revealed its latest plan to cool the housing market and slow down skyrocketing prices, and that includes cracking down on unauthorized Airbnbs and building more homes. But many experts say that this housing plan is just a mere sideshow and just a drop in the bucket in Israel's spiraling housing crisis. Well, joining us now to break it down is chair of the Finance Committee and Israeli Parliament member Alex Kushnir. Israeli housing prices, like we said, are up by 9.2% in the past year, and economists agree that housing prices are only going to continue to go up despite this legislation. What is your response to that?
First of all, I want to say that the reform that was announced by the three ministers, Minister of Finance and Minister of Construction and Minister of Internal Affairs, is a first attempt of the government for a long period of time to try to deal with the supply and not only with the demand. That's why when I hear that the government will initiate increase in the construction this year and also next year, it gives me a hope that the increase will be restrained. Also, during the discussion of the budget, we launched a new program of long-term rent for the young couples, because in Israel we have only 27% of couples who live in rented apartments compared to the other Western countries when it comes to 40%. That's why we're trying to deal with the demand, but the most important thing is dealing with the supply. And I hope that next year we will see the restraint of the increase, and the year after we will see the prices stable or going down.
Now, speaking of rent, the new Israeli housing plan plans to shutter Airbnbs and open up more apartments for rent, more specifically in the center of the country. But there seems to be no legislation that's actually enforced to ensure that landlords aren't taking advantage of renters. You just spoke about some of the legislation that you're hoping to pass, but people are paying exorbitantly high prices for apartments that are falling apart. And beyond just the prices, we're talking about homes that really should not be lived in. Where is the legislation on that? How are you protecting tenants beyond just keeping those prices down?
Well, as I told you, we launched the program of long-term rent in Israel, and then there is a very strict legislation about the rights of the tenant. And I think that this program will be launched next year, and we will see the improvement in this part. Also, you cannot expect from the new government, who is only 4 months on duty, to deal with all the problems. There are a lot of problems, the result of doing nothing for the last decade, and we're going to change it. And I can tell you that, this issue of Airbnb is a very small issue of the huge reform that this government is putting on the table, and I hope that we will see the results immediately.
Now, speaking of young people, but this really just is across the board. I think Israelis as a whole are finding that they can't afford to have the security of owning their own homes. They can't seem to control how high rents are getting. And more people than ever before are looking to just move abroad to pursue better opportunities as a result of this. How will your government prevent that?
Well, this is a very big challenge for us, for all of the Israeli people, and also for this government. That's why when you analyze the budget that we just approved in the Knesset a couple of weeks ago, you can see that there are a lot of reforms which addressed to reduce the cost of living. There are a lot of reforms that addressed to grow the Israeli economy, to make more opportunities for young people, to make their income free as much as it possible, and we're trying to address all the challenges that we are facing, and I hope that Israeli young people will stay in the country, and this is our main goal.
Right. You said that this is a process, it's going to take time, but seeing an almost 10% jump in real estate prices last year was pretty horrifying for most local Israelis. Are we going to see that happen again next year? How long is it going to take for this policy to actually make an impact?
Well, we're doing everything to restrain the increase, and I hope that the next year we will not see this the increase this high. We are hoping that the increase will be restrained and the prices will stay as they are today, and then they will go down maybe a year after. That is our goal, that is our hope, and we're doing everything to make it happen. Also, I can tell you that we're examining ourselves each and every month to see what is going on and how our reforms influence the reality.